Well, hello, radiant rock stars. You know that that's my favorite. Out of all the pet names that I have for you guys, that's always my favorite. I don't know why. I'm so happy to be here. We are so happy to be here. We have an amazing guest tonight. He's one of our favorites. He's a really special person. He's amazing, but I'm not going to spoil all of Augie's fun. So I just want to say hi to everybody and let you know, you guys know how you can connect with us on broadcastteamalpha.com. Of course, we have a Facebook page if any of you are still on Facebook, and you can also connect with us at themastermindconnection@gmail.com. Now, why would you want to connect with us there? Because we meet every Sunday with an amazing, ever-growing group of people where we combine our intentions and our thought energy for very benevolent and humanitarian reasons. Sometimes they're personal; they're about us and our family and our health, and many times they're, about the fires and about the hurricanes and about so many other things. And I have to tell you, I was a little skeptical, but there are some things that have happened that I just can't help believe didn't happen because we were part of the other million people who are putting thought energy together to intend and evoke changes in the quantum realm. So we're doing that. So the mastermind connection, at gmail.com. I just want to thank you so much. Thank you to our supporters. Thank you for the donations. Florida Chick, thank you so much. We are so grateful and so touched by your generosity. So thank you, guys. So without any further ado, Augie, let's talk about our guest. Well, you know what I mean.
Yes. Yeah, this is going to be fun. We have Dan Willis returning to Broadcast Team Alpha. Dan has been with us, probably 6 or 7 times by now over the last 2-3 years. And every time he brings something really fantastic to the show. And I'll tell you, this time you're going to be sitting on the edge of the chair because this is going to be good. But first, a little bit about Dan. Dan has been on both sides of the secret veil that we all call classified information. He was one of the Disclosure Project's top secret military witnesses that testified at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. in 2001 in front of every major media outlet there was at the time. And everybody interested in UFOs, they know about that meeting. He's also been a radio broadcast engineer and an ABC newsman, so he's well familiar with fake news. And we're having some fun with that in the middle of the misery, actually. We've been talking about it. And this concept is not new. And he has spent years traveling the world, investigating and proving that, yes, there are free energy systems that actually work. And they were trying to get those out, but there are unseen forces that is very powerful. And many of the people that he talked to, they were scared of those forces, so they did not do anything with it. Anyway, we're not going to talk mostly about that. We are going to talk about maybe one of the presidents in our past that made an agreement, signed a contract with an alien race and sold us down the river. And
wait, I thought it was a dental appointment. No? No? Okay.
No, I tell you though, there's going to be some teeth in this presentation, so maybe you're close. Here is Dan. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Dan. Welcome.
He fell off or he is muted.
Dan?
Well,
I'm sure Tina is getting him back.
Yeah.
This isn't the first time we have a little, interference with trying to get Dan on. It does happen. That does happen every now and then. So, yeah, just hang with us, guys.
Yeah, she says she's getting him back, so he'll be back. Yeah, this is going to be interesting because, yes, the government at the highest level have had contact with alien races. There he is.
Yay!
My computer just crashed.
Oh, well, welcome back. Welcome.
Oh my God!
There you are. Yeah,
Sorry about
you
that.
don't.
All right. Much for the introduction.
Yeah.
Well, greetings, everyone.
Hi, it's so good to have you back. Always good to have you for a chat. Really good.
Well, we're going to talk about.
Well, let's lean on that president a little bit that sold us down the river, maybe, huh?
Yeah, I guess you introduced me. I was one of the top secret military witnesses that testified back in 2001, along with 20 other witnesses, backed by 500 military intelligence witnesses. That about a minute and a half on the mainstream media. And I've been researching for the last 20 years what brought about that event and what happened with it. And so as I been researching, I found out there was a plan put in place by President Eisenhower. And, upon looking at the chronology of events and looking at all these multiple witness testimonies that I was familiar with and the documents, we're going to explore the possibility that President Dwight D. Eisenhower, upon losing control to an infiltration of the corporations within a military-industrial complex that was infiltrated by the German Fourth Reich, he set forth a plan to protect our constitutional republic through a secret executive order that would activate military intelligence operations to rectify that threat to our constitutional republic if it was ever threatened. And so I was going to just go through a kind of a chronology of events that how that led up to Eisenhower losing control and how that plan was and how since he lost control, every president, CIA director, heads of intelligence have been denied illegally access to these programs. And how it led up to the military intelligence operation that's currently active today that we can't talk about.
Yeah. We will just maybe call it something different, huh?
Yeah, well, the letter after P, the 17th letter. We'll just relate to it as, we'll call it military intelligence. And we have to ask the question, why is it so extremely threatening? What are they so afraid of that these posts have been doing on the back channels of the internet that, big mainstream media is calling it, a deranged, violent Nazi cult, don't look into it. And if you even talk about it on the social media networks, your account will be terminated. Mm-hmm. So there's a real threat. And why is that threat when there is no violence on it? And basically, it's the military intelligence units wanting to educate the public that these operations that were set in place back during the time of Eisenhower were put in place, and they're currently activated. So I don't know how we're going to go through the decades of operations here, but if you want, I can go through a timeline and kind of into an insight of how all this came about.
Absolutely, because in history, there is clues to what is happening today. So let's do that.
So you have to wonder, how could the Nazis, the powerful United States of America, how could the Nazis intimidate and cause President Eisenhower to go into an agreement that was a surrender to the Nazi alliance? Well, Nazis had advanced technology ahead of us, as a lot of you researchers out there, a lot of savvy people listening on this show. So I won't go into too much detail because we don't have much time. But, in 1922, German secret societies were getting channeling of spacecraft that could warp time around it, and was shared with Professor Schumann, who developed this. And by 1934, the Nazis had developed anti-gravity craft 20 years ahead of the United States. with the assistance of an alliance with extraterrestrials. They built a base, and James Forrestal sent Admiral Byrd down there to attack the base. They were completely defeated by the Nazi anti-gravity craft, Operation High Jump. In 1952, they flew over the Capitol building, intimidating the Truman and Eisenhower administration. When Eisenhower came into office, he had one of the most, tumultuous administrations, where they had a number of ET agreements were set. In February 20th, 1954, he had a first contact with benevolent Nordic extraterrestrials that wanted us to relinquish our nuclear weapons, and in exchange, it'd help us with our development. But I think there was connections with the Vatican and things that, according to MJ-12 documents, that wanted to remain containment on this issue. They didn't want it released to the public. By May 29th, 1954, the Nazis start up to control the media. They had this plan called Weltanschauungskrieg. They wanted to have a matrix of perception. They planned to infiltrate in the United States and take over control of the media, education, and create this matrix of perception in order to hide their infiltration into the country. In July of 1954, the Grenada Treaty with Zeta Reticuli ETs that wanted to abduct our population for genetic manipulation and experiments in exchange for some technology. That agreement was made at Kirtland Air Force Base. It didn't go as they totally had planned. By October 1954, the United States finally, after 20 years behind the Nazis, they achieved anti-gravity. And in February 11th, 1955, one of the Nazi craft came up from Antarctica and landed at Holloman Air Force Base, where an agreement surrender was made with Eisenhower and the Nazi alliance with their reptilian allies. As you know, a lot of the reverse engineering operations this going back to the Battle of LA back in 1942, where they started reverse engineering, were moved from Wright-Patterson over to Area 51 and S4. Eisenhower tried to look into it. He was denied access. He threatened to go in with the First Army and invade the base if they didn't allow him, at least 2 CIA agents, to go in. After that experience, what Eisenhower did was he set up a secret executive order for a U.S. Marine Corps Special Section, Military Intelligence Unit, to act as a future institutional safeguard, because they knew it wouldn't go good in the future with this infiltration into our country. So this, ever since Eisenhower, Eisenhower shared with Kennedy. Kennedy was aware of a lot of this with his background in Office of Naval Intelligence. He 10 days after he asked for the files to be released from the CIA, an assassination directive by Allen Dulles was carried out and assassinated Kennedy. Carter made it his campaign promise, since he had a UFO experience, to reveal this to the public. The CIA director, George H.W. Bush, denied the sitting president access. Bill Clinton, Sarah McClendon, the White House correspondent who actually sponsored the 2001 National Press Club event, asked him, Bill, why don't you do anything about disclosure? And he says, Sarah, there's a secret government in the government, and I don't control it. So all these presidents, CIA directors, in fact, he had a CIA director, James Woolsey, try to look into it. A CIA director was denied access. he exhausted his military and intelligence channels and brought in a civilian, Dr. Stephen Greer from the Center of Study for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. He brought a huge stack of documents substantiating the reality. The words out of the CIA director's mouth was, I know the subject's real. I'm just trying to figure out why the hell I can't gain access to it. In 1993, I met with a bunch of civilian researchers outside Area 51 to meet with Robert Lazar the first time he became public, and actually videotaped it. I put it up on the webmatrix.net in the 1993 timeline, the full 2 hours of these researchers hitting him with nonstop questions for 2 hours. The base kind of freaked out. They sent out a National Reconnaissance Office security advisory. The whole base went into lockdown. It created this document. And then on this document, it had a distribution list of Magi and Cosmic Ops. These are unacknowledged special access programs, reverse engineering extraterrestrial technologies. They're at the base. Somehow, Dr. Stephen Greer was able to acquire this document, and on April 9th, 1997, he, along with Dr. Edgar Mitchell, the astronaut, and Commander Will Miller, they met with the head of intelligence at the Pentagon for the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Vice Admiral Thomas Wilson. The head of intelligence for the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who would have constitutional authority, if anyone, he was denied access. He was furious. He said to Dr. Greer, well, as far as I'm concerned, if you get your people, to willing to testify under oath and talk on record, you have my permission to go to the media with this. This group is illegal, quote unquote. And so Dr. Greer did that. He collected over 500 witnesses. I was the 100th videotape witness. So we had 500 witnesses, 20 of which were willing to testify, state that we, in front of the 22 cameras of the National Press Club on May 9th, 2001, that were willing to testify under oath regarding our testimonies. What we disclosed was completely sanitized by the mainstream media. We had proof that our legal government is being denied access, that these illegal unacknowledged special access programs are taking in trillions of dollars, that we had zero-point energy solutions that could eliminate the need for oil, nuclear, coal. We had anti-gravity craft that developed back in the 1950s. There was a base on the far side of the moon, visually witnessed. Astronauts are sworn to secrecy. What happened when they went to the moon in 1969? NASA is purposely airbrushing out the UFO images before releasing them to the public. 57 different ET species had already been categorized since 1989. My good friend Clifford Stone just recently passed away, and just blessings to him. ET craft have shut down our nuclear ICBM bases. The U.S. Navy is reporting spacecraft coming out of our oceans. That was my testimony. Planned future false flag events, with terrorists being the next one. This was just 4 months before the 9/11 terrorist event, and much more. Anyway, it's kind of a brief rundown of what we disclosed, but the mainstream media sanitized it with what's called a limited hangout. In other words, they basically just said we wanted to have a congressional hearing on the reality of just UFOs, which kind of shut the whole thing. We gave it about a minute and a half on CNN or something. Wow. It inspired a number of people, one a hacker in the UK, and Gary McKinnon, who the Bush administration, by the way, who denied our congressional hearing to bring forth these witness scientists that we had within the that could prove these technologies. But that's not a surprise with the Bush family. They wanted to put him away for 70 years in prison for revealing the U.S. Navy's secret space program called Solar Warden, where they have these huge cigar-shaped craft, kilometers long, non-terrestrial officers, fleet-to-fleet transfers. All this was revealed. This program was started back in the 1980s, and by the year 2000, people having memory recall because of the technology that they have. They can actually erase a person's memory, but after 20 years elapses on this timeline, they start to have recall. Two witnesses of the secret space program have something that's very key that they said. Michael Gerloff, for example, he says, quote, "A secret government, so to speak, had come into being surrounding all the secrecy, surrounding the military-industrial complex, and they were in some way lost control of, and that, in a sense, there was a secret government operating behind the scenes. I believe Eisenhower and the good men and women who were of like mind, who did not want to lose their souls, who did not want to see this occur, but realized it was kind of already too late on some level. My memories as an intelligence officer, the briefings that I attended, the things that I learned was that there was a plan put in place, and it was going to be a very long-term plan, much further down the road into our future, where this information was going to be brought out," unquote. And then you have Randy Kramer, who's been on your show before. He says, quote, "A U.S. Marine Corps special section was created by a secret executive order by President Eisenhower as a kind of institutional safeguard," unquote. And so this plan that was put in place by President Eisenhower somewhere in the mid-50s had come to operation when there was a 16-year, the deep state, for lack of a better term, had a 16-year plan to completely destroy the United States and bring in the New World Order, which was their plan. The first 8 years was Obama. And before Hillary, which was the Bilderberg's choice, was to be president, they recruited in 2015 Donald J. Trump.
Oh, Dan, we only got 20 seconds or 15 seconds left, so let's hang on with that plan until we get back from the break.
Come explore the quantum possibilities. This is Broadcast Team Alpha. Broadcast Team Alpha. To be on the show live, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. Share your thoughts of the show on Twitter at KCOR Radio, #KCOR. Or join the cutting edge conversation live in our chat room at www.kcorradio.com. Now back to Broadcast Team Alpha with your free thinking hosts, Nori Love and Augie Nast.
And hey, everybody, we're back. And, you know, this is my favorite time to go through the chat room and say hi to everybody. But out of respect for Dan, and he's got a lot of really good info for us, we're just going to get right back to it. But I see you all having a good time in the chat room, all the usual suspects. Hi, guys. All right. Dan, let's get back to this convo. This is so good.
Okay. I'm attempting to condense, 20 years of research of witness testimonies and documents and, research with Dr. Michael Salla and collaborating with other researchers and Laura Eisenhower. Anyway, back to what happened. The Nazi SS set up the Bilderberg meetings, the Operation Mockingbird. They completely control the perception. This was part of their matrix of perception to control education, which they did. They rewrote what happened at the end of World War II. Everything. They completely hid this hidden world that's going on, which has super advanced technologies hidden. Anyway, back to what happened. When they wanted to bring in Hillary for the end of the 16-year plan, for the last 8 years, which would completely bring it into the New World Order plan, military intelligence, by that 17th letter of the alphabet, recruited Donald Trump. And what's been happening is, using the rule of law, executive orders have been put in place in order to take down these deep state elements, along with 200,000 plus sealed indictments. You have Durham working behind the scenes. You have all this going on. And on February 19th, just before the inauguration of the illegitimate president that we have, Donald Trump released all the declassified documents. And so military intelligence has all that. So now they're using what's called, it's a rule of law manual. And so basically we're under a provisional military right now. And it's kind of going through a stage right now. We're allowing the public to see the deep state in operation. Why is this happening? Because for decades, they have infiltrated our education, our mainstream media. And so if the military was to perform a coup against this infiltrated invasion, you could say, the public would say, "Oh my God, it's a dictator trying to take over." Oh my, and they have basically weaponized the public through the television sets, and so if you look at why the extreme censorship. Why the extreme censorship? Anybody that mentions that 17th letter alphabet, your accounts get taken down. If they've been demonizing it, making it sound like it's a violent Nazi cult, that you want to avoid them at all costs. Then it's a bunch of white supremacists. But they're trying to create this image of it in such a way that people don't look into it. Most people don't have the time to look into this. They don't have the time to research all this stuff. Although there's definitely a huge global awakening going on right now. Lots of people have looked into it. But some of them don't realize the history behind it and how it came to be and how this plan is now in action. And it's going through a stage right now that it seems to be has to be what they call optics. There has to be, people have to see what's going on. They have to see the 56 executive orders of that reversing everything that Trump's done. And it has to see that none of the promises are being kept and everything that's being pushed. And so at some point, it's just a matter of time that, the rule of law, along with, you have to consider that the white hats, there's like white hats and black hats in the NSA, CIA, and everything. But the white hats have taken over the NSA, and they know where all these people are. They know all their communications. They have archives of everything, plus the Kraken, which is a supercomputer military intelligence uses to track all the illegal activity that's going on around the planet. And so they have all the evidence, and they have the rule of law, and we have the entire U.S. military behind us, along with the military intelligence. So we're at an interesting point in history, and this isn't just about, gaining the election back. People have to, a lot of people are scratching their heads when they hear the media and say, "Oh, well, there's absolutely no evidence of fraud," and that, and that this riot on the January 6th was incited by Trump. And people look at that and they kind of scratch their head and they, well, that doesn't make much sense. But I've been hearing all these other stories and because of the social media. So, people are starting to question more and more. And now they want to shut down any alternative medias like Newsmax and Fox. And although Fox is pretty much controlled by one of the 6 corporations, to keep the public from becoming aware of all this. So, this is probably going to be one of the most incredible turning points because it's not about just the United States. We're talking about a global operation. Yeah. We're talking about the entire planet being liberated from these dark forces that have basically infiltrated and been using our media, being an ex-ABC newsman, I took note of, how the media has been purposely manipulating the public in a deceptive way, ever since I testified, in 2001. So that's kind of a real short snapshot of what was put in place back in the mid-50s and what has surfaced today.
Yeah.
Well, actually surfaced back in 2015 and is currently operational and active right now.
You've been researching this more probably than most. Do you see any timeline for any resolution to it?
Well, you can't. Whenever you put a date on something, you immediately get, nobody knows what. It's so complex. You're talking about, 5D chess here, with all these different elements going on. But I don't expect it to go past April, is my, speculation, complete speculation on it based on everything I'm seeing. And there may be something happening as early as March 4th. I don't know. It all depends on the operations. There's moves and counter moves. It's a huge, the stake of the entire planet is up, at how this whole thing comes out. I mean, my God, the deep state, the dark cabal, what do you want to call it, has had its clutches and had our complete planet hijacked for all these years. I spent 10 years trying to bring out an energy solution, meeting with scientists and inventors, but the Invention Secrecy Act back in 1951 they put in place. Anybody that's got anti-gravity or free energy or anything that's a game changer, gets national security order, so they can't release it. So our planet's been technologically hijacked. I mean, in the secret space programs, they have med beds. You can cure any disease or age reverse you back to your 20s, 30s. I mean, you name it. There's a science fiction-like world that's been withheld from humanity. And because it's so far removed from our indoctrination from birth, it keeps its own best secrecy because it's hard for people to even imagine.
No doubt. It's a lot. It's a lot to wrap your brain around, And there's been so much disinformation that I think people are so frustrated, when they hear dates and maybe March 4th, and it's a roller coaster ride.
Oh, it's a sea of disinformation out there. They need to muddy the waters, That's why all the research I've done, I based it on credible witness testimonies and authenticated documents. When you start piecing this together, I researched back to the year 1900 to present day. And plugged in everything. And after you start putting a lot of pieces of the puzzle together, it starts to form what's been hidden in our world. You can't say you have all the pieces, but enough to start to see that without a question, we've been under the control of a dark influence that has essentially, circumvented our spiritual and technological growth on this planet.
Absolutely. And, it's not just here. I read foreign newspapers just about every night. And I see most countries out there, like maybe, I'm from Norway, so I need Norwegian, Swedish, French papers, German papers. The people as a mass, they're dumber than stumps when it comes on to the real truth, because the government of the media in those countries, they cover it up so well, except for a few countries. Like there are, Denmark is one of them, and there are other Eastern European countries that say, heck with it, we're going to talk about the truth. So there is a few, but they're hard to find.
I notice on my web tracking, I get a lot of Denmark, and on the webmatrix.net is my it's not a professional site, it's just my online chronological notes with references on everything. I don't do any of this for any financial interest. I just want to share my notes with other people that are seeing, the glitches in this matrix of perception that we've all been born into.
Yeah, and the president of Madagascar, he came out and said that somebody from the Clinton, Killgate Foundation and the International Monetary Fund, they offered him $20 million if he would allow to put poisons in the vaccine. And he told them to go, buzz off. So he's talking about it. These kinds of things, of course, never shows up here, but it shows up in a few foreign newspapers.
And you'll never hear it on the mainstream media. That's for sure. Yeah, the eugenicists, they tied in. It's a group. Chinese Communist Party, and there's a lot of indications the Vatican's been interfering with our elections through the Leonardo satellite into the Dominion voting system, and all the other countries that were interfering with all that. All of similar ideologies where they want to have this new world order that is, people associate that with the Nazis, but it's a mindset. You see it in the Chinese Communist Party. You see it wherever there's dictators, in history. And we've got to liberate our planet from this, that particular sickness of the mind.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. You know this stuff, you piece it together over the years, but when it gets presented and it's just so undeniable, it's hard to swallow, it's so big, it's so huge.
Yeah, that's part of the reason. Yeah, it takes people out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
And a lot of the documents that has been released now, what you're talking about is not a conspiracy theory because it can be proven. The documents show these things, and a lot of them. So it is not a theory anymore.
Yeah, there's no theory about this. This is absolute fact. Not all 20 of us didn't say we're willing to testify under oath as breaking national security oaths and penalty of perjury, before the largest event in the history of the National Press Club back 20 years ago. I can't believe it. 20 years ago I did that.
Yeah. Wow. And here we are.
Well, we had a question earlier. I don't know, it's kind of out of context now, but Shady D said, weren't humans just used in a trade agreement with the ET? Weren't humans used in a trade agreement with the ET?
President Truman, you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
No, it was during Eisenhower. Eisenhower did the.
Oh no! They said human. Sorry, weren't humans? Sorry, used in the trade agreement with the ET. Humans.
Is it Truman you're saying, or Schumann?
No, I'm saying human, like human beings. Human beings weren't human beings. Used.
Humans.
Yes.
Well, yeah, they were abducting people. They. They're interested in our DNA, and some reports, I can't verify this, but they're possibly making a hybrid race or something. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff when they brought over under paperclip Xavier Dorsch, Hitler's mastermind in underground construction. They started in 1946 and started tunneling out. There's thousands of deep underground military bases and ET military joint operations that are going on. Only a few witnesses, such as like Emery Smith, have been able to put light on what is going on under there. Well, there's a number of witnesses have come. Very few. Like Phil Schneider, for example. They suicided him.
Yeah. That's one of the risks that people that come out like that they are willingly taken, because truth to them means more than their own safety. And that's one of the things that corrupt government and the secret government and whatever is under the ground there, that's one of the things they're afraid of, and that is people that is not afraid to die for cause. Because they don't know how to deal with them.
Well, I think there's a I don't know how many people are listening, but the people that are seeing these things, you can't tell the people about this stuff. They have to witness it through their own eyes and see it actually happening. Once they start seeing it happening and saying, "Wait, they're lying to me here. Yeah. I can see it. There's evidence here. They're lying to me." They're talking about the mainstream media, for example.
Yes.
As soon as they start to question, well, if they're lying to me about that, what else are they lying to me about? And why are they trying to censor everybody? Why are they trying to control what everybody can say and what everybody can do?
And what goes up their nose in the form of a swab? Yeah. Sorry.
It's true. It's you start, as soon as you start questioning the glitches in this perception matrix, all of a sudden you become you become an enemy to the state, a terrorist, enemy combatant, because you become awake and aware of what's going on. But I have faith and I have hope. I have a very positive feeling, by the way, that the military has everything they need, and it's just a matter of time right now.
And I want to say one thing yeah, it is. And I want to say one thing for the benefit of the ones that is listening to this, and that is that think about what the head of the CIA under Ronald Reagan said one time, and this is on record. They can be verified. He said that when we wake up one day and find that everything the American public believes is false, we know our disinformation program is working.
William Casey, Ronald Reagan's CIA director. Yep.
Yes. And he did say that.
Oh, yeah,
so if everything we believe will be false, that include everything Mr. and Mrs. America. Think about that. He has told us that we are being lied to.
Well, the average Mr. and Mrs. America out there, they have a hard time knowing that, between the Bilderberg meetings, Council of Foreign Relations, and the Trilateral, and the 6 corporations that control hundreds of media outlets that all parrot the same talking points, is centrally an organized control that is moving forward on an agenda that is not in the interest of the American people. And when the public becomes fully aware of that, this will help in this great transformation. And it'll be a lot less upheaval, because when people can actually start to recognize the infiltration, then we can start to do something about it. And we can support our military using the rule of law to take down these treasonous traitors that have nothing but ill for humanity and their plans.
Absolutely. And I see we got 2.5 minutes left of the show. So where can people see your work, Dan, and how do they get in touch with you?
My contact information, everything is at www.thewebmatrix.com. .net. .net, not .com. And my email is there, my Facebook link is there, and I'm surprised I'm still on Facebook. They haven't deleted me yet, So, I'm getting like other people. I understand Bill Gates just purchased Telegram or something like that. They already took Parler's come back up again after they took that down. It's a big war going on right now to control the perceptions.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Dan, if you could talk to the whole world and they would be listening, what would you tell them?
To research the hidden history of what has brought you to today, and support our military in taking down these elements that have hijacked our planet.
Yes.
Yeah. And you said you're optimistic, and I am also. I am very optimistic because in my mind, I have seen the destination and it's good. So I really don't care about all the rocks in the road getting there.
Exactly. They've got everything. They've got the goods on these people. So right now is an important visual time for people to be aware and to see the infiltration and the deception being perpetrated. And so this is a very crucial, important time.
Yeah. We got 30 seconds left, so thank you very much, Dan, for coming here and educating us.
Lori and Agi, always a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
See you guys.
See ya.